The arrival, the space above Earth, suddenly filled with massive ships. They appeared without warning, like dark clouds covering the sun. Each ship was the size of a city, black metal gleaming in the starlight. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They blocked out the stars and cast shadows on the continents below. On the largest ship, Admiral Kethvar stood on the command bridge. His 6 arms moved across control panels, while his 4 eyes studied the blue planet below. The Admiral was tall and thin, with gray skin that looked like old leather. He had conquered 43 worlds before this one. Earth would be number 44. "Send the message," he ordered his crew. His voice was deep and cold. The message went out to every radio, television, and computer on Earth. It was simple and direct. "People of Earth, you are now under the rule of the Zephyrian hegemony. Put down your weapons. Stop your governments. Anyone who fights will die. You have 1 hour to surrender." The Admiral smiled, showing sharp teeth. This was always his favorite part. Soon the messages would come from Earth. Leaders begging for mercy, offers to give up without a fight. It always happened this way. But something was wrong. The Admiral waited, but no surrender messages came. Instead, his communication officer looked confused. "Sir, we are getting strange signals from the planet." "What kind of signals?" "They are not surrendering, sir." "They are. Talking to each other. All over the planet. Very fast." The Admiral was not worried. Humans were primitive. He had studied their entertainment broadcasts. They still used chemical rockets to barely reach their own moon. They fought each other with simple guns and bombs. Some humans did not even have clean water or enough food. "Show me their military," the Admiral said. Pictures appeared on the main screen. Tanks rolling on roads, fighter jets in the sky, ships in the ocean. The Admiral laughed. These toys could not even leave their planet's surface. "Begin the bombardment," he ordered. "Target their largest cities first. When they see their capitals burning, they will surrender quickly." The Zephyrian ships moved into position. Their weapons were powerful enough to crack continents. They had used these same weapons to destroy the great crystal cities of Andromac and the floating islands of Kelp Prime. But as the ships prepared to fire, something strange happened. The Admiral's tactical officer suddenly looked up from her station. "Sir, I am detecting movement on their moon." "Movement? Show me." The main screen switched to show Earth's small gray moon. At first, everything looked normal. Just rocks and dust and old human footprints from decades ago. But then the Admiral saw it. Large sections of the moon's surface were opening up like giant doors. "What is that?" the Admiral asked. His answer came in the form of brilliant flashes of light. Massive weapons emerged from hidden bases all over the moon. They were not the primitive railguns the Admiral expected. These were weapons that used magnetic fields to throw metal projectiles at incredible speeds. The first shot hit the Zephyrian flagship's shield. The shield held, but barely. Alarms started ringing all over the bridge. "How is this possible?" the Admiral shouted. "Their technology is primitive." "Sir, we are detecting more weapons on their planet's surface," the tactical officer reported. Her voice was shaking. "They are everywhere, hidden under fake buildings and forests." All across Earth, what looked like normal hills and buildings suddenly opened up. Massive gun barrels emerged and pointed at the sky. The humans had been busy while the Admiral studied their old television shows. The second wave of human weapons fired all at once. This time, the Admiral's flagship rocked hard to one side. Sparks flew from control panels. The lights flickered. "Shields down to 60%, someone shouted. The Admiral could not believe what he was seeing. The humans were shooting back, and their weapons actually worked. This had never happened before. "Return fire! Destroy their moon bases!" The Zephyrian ships began shooting their energy weapons at the moon. Huge explosions lit up the lunar surface. But for every human base they destroyed, 3 more appeared from different hiding spots. Then something even worse happened. The Admiral's communication officer looked up with wide eyes. "Sir, they are jamming us!" That is impossible. Our communication systems are the most advanced in the galaxy. They are not just jamming us, sir. They have taken control of our communication system. They are sending us a message. A new voice came through the speakers. It was human, speaking perfect Zephyrian language. The voice was calm and steady. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. You have made a big mistake coming here. This is your only warning. Leave now, or we will destroy every single one of your ships." The Admiral was shocked. How did this human learn to speak Zephyrian? How were they controlling his communication? "Systems! Impossible!" he shouted back into the microphone. "You cannot threaten us! We have conquered dozens of worlds!" The human voice replied. "We know. We have been watching you for 15 years. We saw what you did to the other planets. We have been preparing." More human weapons fired from Earth's surface. This time they were different. Instead of projectiles, they shot beams of focused energy that cut through Zephyrian shields like hot knives through butter. The Admiral watched in horror as 3 of his escort ships exploded into bright balls of fire. Pieces of metal spun away into the darkness of space. "How long have they had these weapons?" he asked his intelligence officer. "Sir, according to our data, they should not have these weapons at all. Our last intelligence report said they were still using primitive chemical rockets." The human admiral's voice came through the speakers again. "Your intelligence is 15 years old. We stopped broadcasting our real military development after we detected your scout ships. Everything you have seen of us has been fake. Old movies and fake news designed to make you think we were weak." The Admiral's 4 eyes went wide. The humans had been lying to them. For 15 years, they had been showing fake weakness while building real strength. Another wave of human weapons fired. This time, the Admiral's own flagship shook so hard that he had to grab onto his command chair to keep from falling. "Shields down to 20%, the tactical officer shouted. All around the fleet, Zephyrian ships were exploding or spinning helplessly with damaged engines. The Admiral had started this battle with over 800 ships. In just 10 minutes, he had lost more than half of them. "Sir, we need to retreat," his second-in-command said. The Admiral's pride fought against his survival instincts. He had never retreated from a primitive planet before, but he had also never fought against anything like this. The human Admiral's voice came again, but this time it was not calm. It was angry. "You have 30 seconds to start running, or we will turn your entire fleet into scrap metal." As if to prove the point, another massive wave of human weapons fired all at once. The night sky above Earth lit up like daylight as hundreds of energy beams and projectiles streaked toward the Zephyrian fleet. The Admiral watched his remaining ships being torn apart. Some tried to run, but the human weapons were too fast. Others tried to fight back, but their return fire barely scratched the human defenses. "All ships retreat. Emergency jump to hyperspace," the Admiral finally ordered. But even retreating was harder than it should have been. The humans had somehow disrupted the Zephyrian navigation systems. It took precious extra minutes to calculate safe jump coordinates. During those minutes, more ships died. When the surviving Zephyrian fleet finally disappeared into hyperspace, they left behind a field of wreckage above Earth. Of the 847 ships that had arrived to conquer humanity, only 312 escaped. The invasion had lasted exactly 20 minutes. 20 minutes of Hell Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the command center buried 300 feet below the mountains of Colorado. Around her, hundreds of screens showed the battle happening above Earth. Her short gray hair was perfectly neat, and her dark eyes watched every detail of the fight. "Moonbase Alpha reports successful hit on Target 7, came a voice from the communication station. "Confirmed. Target 7 is breaking apart," another voice added. Sarah nodded but did not smile. This was exactly what they had trained for. But it was also the most dangerous 20 minutes in human history. If they failed here, Earth would become another conquered world. "Ma'am, the alien ships are trying to target our moon bases," reported Lieutenant Martinez from the tactical station. "Let them try," Sarah said calmly. Switch to backup positions. On the moon, the huge weapons that had been firing at the alien fleet suddenly went silent and disappeared back into their hidden bunkers. The Zephyrian ships fired their energy weapons at empty craters, accomplishing nothing. Then new weapons emerged from completely different locations. The aliens had been aiming at decoys. Sarah had spent 10 years planning this moment. When the first alien scout ships had been detected at the edge of the solar system, she was just a captain in the Space Force. Now she commanded the most powerful military force humanity had ever built. Surface batteries. Begin firing pattern. Omega, she ordered. All across Earth, hidden weapons systems came to life. What the aliens thought were normal hills and forests suddenly opened up like mechanical flowers. Massive gun barrels rose from underground bunkers and pointed at the sky. These were not the primitive weapons the aliens expected. Each gun used magnetic acceleration to fire projectiles at nearly 10% of light speed. The projectiles themselves were made of materials that did not exist naturally on Earth. Human scientists had spent years learning to create new metals and alloys specifically designed to punch through alien shields. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They had studied human entertainment broadcasts to learn about Earth's capabilities, but those broadcasts were 15 years old. The movies and TV shows they watched showed humans using chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. What the aliens did not know was that the real human governments had immediately stopped broadcasting anything related to their actual military development. Every space launch after the alien detection had been secret. Every new weapon had been built in hidden facilities. Direct hit on their flagship, reported the tactical officer. Their shields are weakening. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The alien flagship was huge, easily 10 times larger than anything humans had ever built. But size meant nothing if you could not defend yourself. "Ma'am, we are getting reports from the Pacific Fleet," Lieutenant Martinez said. "The sea-based railguns are ready to fire." "Give them targeting data for the transport ships," Sarah ordered. In the Pacific Ocean, what looked like normal cargo ships suddenly revealed their true nature. Their fake superstructures fell away, showing massive weapons underneath. These ships had been sailing normal trade routes for 5 years, looking completely innocent. Now they added their firepower to the battle. The alien transport ships were designed to carry ground troops for planetary invasions. They were heavily armored, but not very fast. The railgun projectiles from the ocean struck them like lightning bolts from the sea. "Transport Group Beta is completely destroyed," someone reported. "No survivors detected." Sarah watched the tactical display as red dots representing alien ships blinked out one by one. Each dot represented thousands of alien soldiers who would never set foot on Earth. But the aliens were not giving up easily. Their warships turned their massive energy weapons toward Earth's surface, trying to destroy the hidden human bases. "Ma'am, they are targeting New York," came an urgent voice. "Activate the shield grid," Sarah commanded. Above New York City, the air suddenly shimmered like heat waves. The alien energy beam struck an invisible barrier and scattered in all directions, lighting up the sky but causing no damage to the city below. The shield technology was humanity's greatest secret. It used controlled electromagnetic fields to deflect energy weapons. The aliens had no idea such technology was possible. "The shield is holding," reported the defense coordinator. "No damage to the city. Similar shields protected every major city on Earth." The aliens could fire all they wanted, but their weapons could not penetrate human defenses. Sarah looked at the timer on her command screen. 12 minutes had passed since the battle began. More than half the alien fleet was already destroyed or disabled. "Ma'am, we are detecting movement in their formation," the tactical officer said. "It looks like they are trying to retreat." Sarah had expected this. No alien commander would continue a hopeless battle, but she could not let them escape. Any alien who survived would report back to their home worlds. More fleets would come, and next time they would be prepared for human capabilities. Signal. All units, Sarah said into her microphone. Begin pursuit protocol. Do not let any alien ship escape. Around Earth, a new type of human vessel began to move. These ships had been hiding in the shadows of asteroids and behind the moon. They were sleek and fast, designed for one purpose, to hunt down fleeing enemies. The pursuit ships used fusion engines that accelerated them to incredible speeds. Their hulls were made of the same advanced materials as the railgun projectiles, making them nearly impossible to detect or destroy. "Pursuit Squadron Alpha is in position," came a new voice. "Squadron Beta ready for intercept. Squadron Gamma standing by." Sarah watched as the human pursuit ships moved to surround the retreating aliens. The aliens had faster-than-light travel, but they needed time to calculate safe hyperspace jumps. During that time, they were vulnerable. "Begin the hunt," Sarah ordered. The pursuit ships opened fire with their own advanced weapons. These were smaller than the massive moon-based guns, but they were incredibly accurate. Each shot was guided by artificial intelligence systems that could predict exactly where an alien ship would be. The alien retreat turned into a rout. Ships that tried to run were picked off one by one. Others tried to fight back, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. "Ma'am, Admiral Kethvar's flagship is trying to escape," Lieutenant Martinez reported. Sarah looked at the tactical display. The alien flagship was larger and better defended than the other ships. It might actually reach hyperspace before the human ships could stop it. "Target the flagship with the Luna Prime cannon," Sarah ordered. Luna Prime was humanity's most powerful weapon. It was built inside a crater on the far side of the moon, hidden from Earth-based observation. The weapon used a focused gravity field to accelerate a projectile to nearly 20% of light speed. "Luna Prime is charging," came the voice from the moon base. "Firing in 10 seconds. The alien flagship was almost at the edge of the solar system when Luna Prime fired. The projectile crossed the distance in seconds and struck the flagship's engines. The massive alien ship spun out of control, its hyperspace jump interrupted. Smaller human ships swarmed around it like wolves around a wounded elk. "Sir, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force," Sarah said into the communication system. "Your ship is disabled. Surrender and you will be treated according to the laws of war." There was a long pause before the alien admiral replied. His voice sounded defeated. I surrender." Sarah looked at the tactical display one more time. Of the 847 alien ships that had arrived to conquer Earth, only a few dozen were still trying to escape. Most of those would not make it to hyperspace. The timer on her screen showed 19 minutes and 30 seconds. "All units, continue pursuit of remaining targets," Sarah ordered. "Do not stop until every alien ship is accounted for." She turned to Lieutenant Martinez. "Send a message to all human governments. Phase 1 is complete. Begin Phase 2. Martinez looked confused. "Phase 2, ma'am?" Sarah's expression became very serious. "Now we take the fight to them." The defense of Earth was over. The invasion had failed completely, but Sarah Chen had no intention of simply waiting for the aliens to try again. Humanity had been reactive for too long, waiting for threats to come to them. Now it was time to be proactive. The aliens had made the mistake of showing humans where their other conquered worlds were located. Every ship they captured contained navigation data and military intelligence. Sarah looked at the star map on her main screen. Dozens of red dots showed the locations of alien-controlled worlds. Billions of enslaved beings were waiting for rescue. "Prepare the fleet for deep space operations," she commanded. "We are going hunting." The 20 minutes of hell above Earth were over. But for the Zephyrian hegemony, a much longer nightmare was about to begin. The Chase Begins Admiral Kethvar sat in a prison cell aboard the human ship Thunderstrike. The cell was small but clean, with a simple bed, desk, and eating area. It was nothing like the torture chambers he had expected. The humans had even provided food that his species could digest. Through the small window, he could see stars moving past at impossible speeds. The human ship was traveling faster than anything in the Zephyrian fleet. It should not have been possible. The door to his cell opened with a quiet hiss. Admiral Sarah Chen walked in, carrying 2 cups of steaming liquid. She was smaller than most humans Kethavar had seen in the entertainment broadcasts, but her presence filled the room. "Coffee?" she offered, holding out one of the cups. Kethavar stared at her. "You speak our language perfectly." "We have been studying your people for 15 years, Sarah said, sitting down at the small table. "We know your language, your customs, your military tactics. We know about every world you have conquered." The alien admiral reluctantly took the offered cup. The liquid inside was dark and smelled bitter, but it was warm and somehow comforting. "Why are you treating me well?" he asked. "I came to destroy your world." Sarah sipped her coffee thoughtfully. "Because we are not like you. We do not conquer and enslave, but we also do not forgive those who threaten innocent people." Outside the window, more human ships flew in formation. Kethavar counted at least 50 vessels, all moving at speeds that violated every law of physics he knew. "How do your ships move so fast?" he asked. "Fusion ramjets combined with gravity manipulation," Sarah said simply. "We learned a lot from studying the wreckage of your scout ships." Kethavar's 4 eyes widened. "You captured our scouts?" "Every single one. Your people have been sending reconnaissance ships to our solar system for 15 years. We captured them all and reverse-engineered their technology. Then we improved it." The alien admiral felt a chill run through his body. The Zephyrian hegemony had lost dozens of scout ships over the years. The military command had assumed they were destroyed by space hazards or equipment failures. No one had imagined that primitive humans were capable of capturing and studying advanced alien technology. "What do you plan to do with me?" Kethavar asked. Sarah stood up and walked to the window. The stars outside were shifting from white to blue as the ship continued to accelerate. "That depends on you," she said. "We know about your military bases. We know about your supply lines. We know about the slave worlds you control. You can help us free those worlds, or you can watch us do it without your help." "Free them?" Kethavar was confused. "Why would you care about alien worlds?" Sarah turned, back to face him. Her dark eyes were hard as stone. "Because slavery is wrong no matter who does it. Because those worlds have families and children who deserve to be free. Because someone needs to stop you from doing to others what you tried to do to us." Kethavar had conquered 43 worlds during his career. He had seen the faces of billions, of defeated people. But he had never thought of them as families with children. They were just resources to be managed. "You do not understand," he said. "The hegemony is vast. We control thousands of star systems. Even if you defeat my fleet, others will come. Bigger fleets with better weapons." Sarah smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "Let them come. We will be ready." The ship suddenly shuddered and began to slow down. Through the window, Kethavar could see a star system approaching. There were several planets orbiting a yellow sun, much like Earth's system. "Where are we?" he asked. "Proxima Centauri," Sarah replied. "Your forward staging base." Kethavar felt his blood turn cold. The Proxima base was one of the hegemony's most important military installations. It controlled supply lines to dozens of conquered worlds. It was supposed to be secret. "Impossible. You cannot know about Proxima." Sarah pulled out a small device and showed him the screen. It displayed detailed maps of the Proxima system, including the locations of every military base, shipyard, and defense platform. "We downloaded this from your flagship's computer while you were unconscious," she said, "along with the locations of every other hegemony installation." On the screen, Kethavar could see the human fleet spreading out into attack formation. The ships moved with perfect coordination, like a school of predatory fish. "This is Admiral Chen to all units," Sarah said into her communication device. Begin. Operation Thunderbolt. Remember, we are here to liberate, not to conquer. Through the window, Kethvar watched in horror as the human fleet engaged the Proxima defenses. The Zephyrian base had been designed to withstand attacks from enemy fleets using known technology. But the human weapons were unlike anything the base defenders had ever seen. Human ships fired beams of concentrated gravity that crushed enemy vessels like empty cans. Other weapons seemed to make Zephyrian ships simply disappear, as if they had never existed at all. What are those weapons? Kethvar whispered. Classified, Sarah replied. But I will tell you this. We learned a lot from studying your technology. We also learned from studying the technology of every other species you have conquered. The alien admiral stared at her. What do you mean? Every world you invaded, you took their best scientists and engineers as slaves. You forced them to work in your research facilities. What you did not realize is that those facilities became treasure troves of scientific knowledge from dozens of different species. Sarah pulled up another display on her device. It showed a massive structure floating in space near Earth's moon. We rescued the scientists from your research stations 2 years ago, she continued. They were very eager to help us develop weapons that could defeat their former captors. The structure on the screen was like nothing Kethvar had ever seen. It looked like a city-sized factory, with thousands of ships being built simultaneously. How many ships do you have? He asked weakly. Enough, Sarah said simply. Outside the window, the battle for Proxima was already over. The Zephyrian base was in ruins, its defenders either destroyed or surrendering. Human ships were already moving toward the planets in the system. What will you do to the civilians? Kethvar asked. Protect them, Sarah replied. The Zephyrian settlers on these worlds are not our enemies. They are just people trying to live their lives. We will offer them the choice to stay as free citizens or return to hegemony space. This was completely different from how the hegemony operated. When Zephyrian forces conquered a world, they enslaved or killed the native population. The idea of offering choices to defeated enemies was alien to Kethvar. You will fail, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. The hegemony will send the Grand Fleet, 10,000 ships with weapons that can destroy stars. Sarah nodded thoughtfully. We know about the Grand Fleet. We also know it will take them 6 months to organize and travel here. That gives us 6 months to free every world you have conquered and turn them into allies. She stood up and walked toward the door. Think about what I have told you, Admiral. You can spend the next 6 months in this cell, or you can help us save lives. The choice is yours. After she left, Kethvar sat alone with his thoughts. Through the window, he could see human ships moving between the planets of the Proxima system. Each ship carried teams of specialists whose job was to repair the damage done by Zephyrian occupation. For 40 years, Kethvar had believed that the Zephyrian way was the only way. Conquest was natural. The strong ruled the weak. But watching the human fleet work to heal instead of harm made him question everything he had been taught. On the planet below, he could see lights coming back on in cities that had been dark under hegemony rule. Communication satellites were being repaired. Supply ships were bringing food and medical supplies to settlements that had been struggling to survive. The humans were not just defeating the hegemony militarily. They were showing the galaxy a different way to live. Kethvar picked up the communication device Sarah had left on the table. He stared at it for a long time, thinking about the billions of people on the slave worlds who were waiting for someone to free them. Finally, he pressed the button to contact the bridge. "This is Admiral Kethvar," he said slowly. "I wish to speak with Admiral Chen. I have information about hegemony defenses that might help you save lives." The voice that answered was calm and professional. "Admiral Chen will be with you shortly, sir." As he waited, Kethvar looked out at the stars and wondered what kind of galaxy the humans were going to create. It would certainly be different from anything he had known, and perhaps, he thought, that was exactly what the galaxy needed. The reckoning The communications chamber aboard the flagship Humanity's Dawn was larger than most buildings on Earth. Holographic displays showed star maps of the entire Zephyrian hegemony, with red dots marking every conquered world and military installation. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the center of it all, watching as her coordinators managed the largest military operation in human history. "Ma'am, Liberation Fleet 7 reports successful completion of the Vega operation," announced. "Commander Rodriguez, all slave populations have been evacuated and the hegemony mining facilities have been destroyed. Fleet 12 has secured the Altair system," added another voice. "Local resistance forces are requesting human military advisors to help rebuild their defenses." Sarah nodded as she processed the reports. In 3 months, human fleets had liberated 47 star systems. Each operation was carefully planned to minimize casualties and maximize the rescue of enslaved populations. "What is our status on the core worlds?" she asked. Lieutenant Commander Singh pulled up a new display. "Intelligence indicates the hegemony is pulling back all military forces to defend their most important systems. They have abandoned the outer colonies completely." This was exactly what Sarah had hoped for. The Zephyrian military was being forced to choose between defending their home worlds or protecting their conquered territories. They could not do both. "Ma'am, we are receiving a transmission from the Hegemony High Command," the communications officer announced. "They are requesting negotiations." Sarah was not surprised. The Hegemony leadership was probably desperate by now. Their empire was collapsing faster than they could respond to human attacks. "Put it through." The main display showed the face of a Zephyrian leader Sarah recognized from intelligence files. High Commander Vashatar was the supreme military authority of the entire hegemony. His gray skin looked pale, and his 4 eyes showed exhaustion. "Admiral Chen," he said in accented but clear English, "I am authorized to offer terms for a ceasefire." "I am listening," Sarah replied coolly. "We will withdraw from 50 systems of your choosing. In exchange, you will stop your attacks on hegemony territories and return our captured personnel." Sarah almost laughed. The High Commander was offering to give up territories that humans had already liberated or were about to liberate anyway. "Counter-proposal," she said. "Complete withdrawal from all conquered worlds. Dissolution of the slave labor system. Reparations to be paid to damaged civilizations. And the hegemony military will be limited to purely defensive forces." Vashatar's 4 eyes widened. "Impossible! You are asking us to give up our entire empire." "I'm asking you to give up an empire built on slavery and conquest," Sarah corrected. "Your people can still have their home worlds and their freedom. What they cannot have is the right to enslave others. The Hegemony Council will never agree to those terms." Sarah shrugged. "Then we will continue our current operations until there is no hegemony left to negotiate with." The High Commander leaned forward on the screen. "You do not understand the forces you are dealing with. The Grand Fleet is already assembling. When it arrives at Earth, your entire species will be extinct." "The Grand Fleet concerns me less than you might think," Sarah said calmly. "But thank you for mentioning it. That brings me to our next announcement." Sarah gestured to her communications officer, who activated a galaxy-wide broadcast system. The signal would reach every inhabited world in known space. "Citizens of the galaxy," Sarah began, her voice being translated into thousands of languages simultaneously. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. For too long, the Zephyrian hegemony has terrorized peaceful worlds and enslaved innocent people. Today, that era comes to an end. On screens across hundreds of worlds, beings of dozens of different species stopped what they were doing to listen. In 6 days, human forces will begin the final assault on the hegemony core worlds. We do not seek conquest or revenge. We seek only the complete liberation of all enslaved peoples and the establishment of a galaxy where freedom is the right of every sentient being." Sarah paused to let the translation systems catch up. To the people of the hegemony home worlds, you are not our enemies. When this war ends, you will be offered the same freedom and protection we are extending to all liberated worlds. To the hegemony military, surrender now, and you will be treated with dignity and respect. Continue to fight for a regime built on slavery, and you will be defeated. High Commander Vashatar was staring at the screen in shock. The human admiral was not just declaring war on the hegemony. She was announcing the birth of a new galactic order. You cannot do this, he whispered. The galaxy has natural hierarchies. The strong rule the weak. That is the way of nature. Sarah's expression hardened. Nature also teaches us that predators who threaten the innocent become prey themselves. Your people chose to be predators. Now you will learn what it means to be hunted. The transmission ended, leaving the Hegemony High Command to contemplate their rapidly shrinking options. Sarah turned to her staff. Status report on the core assault preparations. All fleets are in position, Commander Rodriguez reported. We have 200 ships ready for the main assault with another 100 in reserve. What about the secret weapons Admiral Kethvar told us about? Lieutenant Commander Singh pulled up a new display showing technical specifications. The Hegemony has been developing planet-killer weapons for the past decade, massive bombs that can crack a world's crust and make it uninhabitable. Sarah studied the information. The weapons were terrifying in concept, but they had a critical weakness. They required enormous amounts of power and took hours to charge between uses. Deployment. Plan? She asked. Hit fast and hard, Singh replied. Destroy their power generation facilities before they can charge the planet killers. The weapons are useless if they do not have energy to power them. What about civilian casualties? Minimal, ma'am. Most hegemony core worlds keep their civilian populations in underground cities, separated from military installations. We can target the military infrastructure without harming non-combatants. This was the advantage of having spent months studying captured hegemony data. Human forces knew exactly where to strike for maximum military effect with minimum civilian harm. Begin the operation, Sarah ordered. All fleets, execute Assault Plan Alpha. Across dozens of star systems, human ships emerged from hyperspace simultaneously. The assault on the hegemony core worlds had begun. The battles that followed were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships moved like schools of fish, coordinating their attacks with perfect precision. Hegemony defenders found themselves facing weapons that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Gravity bombs turned enemy ships inside out. Temporal disruptors froze hegemony vessels in time. Dimensional shifters made human ships temporarily intangible, allowing them to pass through enemy shields and fire from inside defensive perimeters. On the hegemony capital world of Zephyr Prime, High Commander Vashatar watched his empire crumble in real time. Status reports flooded in from across the core worlds, all telling the same story. Total defeat. Sir, the defense fleet at Hegemony Station 7 has been destroyed, reported one officer. The weapon factories on Kreldar are under human control, added another. Sir, the humans are broadcasting surrender terms to all remaining military units. Vashatar closed his 4 eyes and made a decision that would have been unthinkable just months ago. Send a message to Admiral Chen, he said quietly. Tell her the Hegemony High Command accepts her terms unconditionally. The war was over. An empire that had ruled through fear and slavery for 1,000 years had been defeated by a species they had considered primitive. But for Sarah Chen and the human forces, this was not an ending. It was a beginning. The galaxy was about to learn what freedom really meant. The New Guardians. 6 months after the fall of the Zephyrian hegemony, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the starship New Earth. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see the planet Andromax slowly rotating below. The world's crystal cities sparkled in the light of twin suns, no longer dark and broken as they had been under hegemony rule. "The reconstruction is proceeding ahead of schedule," reported Captain Liu, Sarah's chief of staff. "The Andromacan engineers estimate their industrial capacity will be back to pre-conquest levels within 2 years." Sarah nodded, watching as human engineering ships worked alongside Andromacan crystal shapers to rebuild the magnificent cities that had been damaged during the original hegemony invasion decades ago. This was the 43rd world that human forces had helped to liberate and rebuild. "What about their defense capabilities?" Sarah asked. "The Andromacan Defense Force will be operational within 6 months. They are adapting human shield technology to work with their crystal-based energy systems. The combination should be quite effective." This was the model that humans had established across the former hegemony territories. Liberation was followed by reconstruction, which was followed by the creation of strong local defense forces. The goal was not to create dependencies, but to ensure that free worlds could protect themselves. "Ma'am, we are receiving a priority transmission from Earth," announced the communications officer. Sarah walked to the command center as the main screen activated. The face of President Martinez appeared, broadcasting from the United Nations headquarters in New York. "Admiral Chen, the UN Security Council has approved the Galactic Protection Charter. Congratulations." Sarah felt a sense of pride and relief. The charter was the legal framework that would govern human involvement in galactic affairs. It established rules for intervention, protection of free worlds, and the prevention of future imperial expansion by any species. "Thank you, Mr. President." "How did the vote go?" "Unanimous approval from all member nations. There was some debate about the scope of our responsibilities, but everyone agreed that we cannot allow another hegemony to arise." The charter had been months in the making. Human philosophers, lawyers, and ethicists had worked with representatives from dozens of liberated worlds to create a document that balanced the need for galactic security with respect for planetary sovereignty. "The Andromacan Parliament has also voted to join the Galactic Protection Alliance," President Martinez continued. "That brings our total membership to 67 worlds. The alliance was a voluntary association of free worlds committed to mutual defense and the protection of basic rights for all sentient beings. Unlike the old hegemony, which ruled through conquest and fear, the alliance operated through cooperation and shared values." "Any word from the Zephyrian Provisional Government?" Sarah asked. "They have formally apologized for the crimes of the old regime and requested alliance membership. The Ethics Committee is reviewing their application." This was perhaps the most remarkable development of all. The former hegemony core worlds, now governed by democratically elected leaders, wanted to join the very alliance that had defeated them. It showed how completely the galactic political situation had changed. "Ma'am, we have an incoming ship," the censor officer announced. "It is Admiral Kethavar's vessel, requesting permission to dock." Sarah smiled. "Permission granted. 20. Minutes later, the former Zephyrian admiral walked onto the bridge of the New Earth. His appearance had changed dramatically over the past 6 months. Instead of the military uniform he had worn during his capture, he now dressed in the simple robes of a civilian administrator. "Admiral Chen," he said with a respectful bow, "I bring greetings from the free worlds of Proxima." "How goes the transition?" Sarah asked. Kethavar had become the elected governor of the Proxima system, working to transform former hegemony military bases into civilian settlements. It had not been easy work, but he had proven surprisingly effective at it. "Better than expected," he replied. "The former military personnel are adapting well to civilian life. Many have become teachers, sharing their technical knowledge with the younger generation." This was part of the human approach to post-war reconstruction. Rather than punishing former enemies, they were given opportunities to contribute positively to the new galactic order. It was a radical concept that had initially shocked many liberated worlds, but the results spoke for themselves. "There is something else," Kethavar continued, his expression becoming serious. "Our long-range sensors have detected movement in the outer spiral. There may be another aggressive species beginning to expand their territory. Sarah was not surprised. The galaxy was a big place, and the hegemony had not been the only predatory civilization. Intelligence reports had already identified several potential threats in distant regions of space. What do we know about them? They call themselves the Devourers. They seem to consume entire planets, leaving nothing behind but empty space. 3. Worlds in the outer spiral have gone silent in the past month. Sarah studied the star charts that Kethvar handed her. The pattern of disappearances was clear and troubling. If the reports were accurate, this new threat might be even more dangerous than the hegemony had been. Recommendations? She asked. Send a reconnaissance fleet to investigate. If these Devourers are what we think they are, the galaxy will need to unite against them quickly. Sarah nodded. This was exactly the kind of situation the Galactic Protection Alliance had been created to handle. Free worlds working together to defend against threats that no single planet could face alone. I will prepare a proposal for the Alliance Council, she said. How soon can the Proxima Defense Force be ready for deep space operations? 2 weeks, Kethvar replied confidently. My people are eager to prove themselves as defenders rather than conquerors. After Kethvar left, Sarah remained on the bridge looking out at the planet below. 6 months ago, Andromac had been a slave world, its people working in mines and factories to support the hegemony war machine. Now, it was a free world, with a voice in galactic affairs and the power to defend itself. But freedom, Sarah had learned, was not a destination. It was a journey that required constant vigilance and protection. Captain Liu, prepare the fleet for departure, she ordered. We have work to do. Where are we heading, ma'am? Sarah looked at the star charts, showing the location of the mysterious Devourers. Somewhere out there, innocent people were in danger. Entire civilizations might be facing extinction. The outer spiral, she said. Time to introduce another would-be, conqueror to human hospitality. As the new Earth and its escort fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Sarah thought about the monument that had been erected on the ruins of the old hegemony capital. The inscription was simple but powerful. Earth remembers, Earth protects, never again. The galaxy had learned that humans were capable of tremendous violence when threatened, but it had also learned that humans were equally capable of tremendous compassion when others were in need. The age of empires built on conquest and slavery was ending. In its place, a new age was beginning, an age of cooperation, freedom, and mutual protection. And if anyone tried to return the galaxy to the old ways of fear and oppression, they would discover that humanity had not forgotten how to fight. Stars ahead held new challenges and new threats, but they also held new allies and new possibilities. Sarah Chen had started her career as a defender of Earth. Now she was a guardian of the galaxy, and the galaxy was safer because of it. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying the hopes and determination of free beings everywhere. Behind them, on 67 liberated worlds, billions of people lived in freedom for the first time in generations. Ahead of them, in the darkness between the stars, new adventures and new responsibilities waited. The human species had found its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors but as protectors, not as rulers but as guardians. And the galaxy would never be the same.